think it's been about, we've had some practices, and I think practicing has definitely tuned us up, fine-tuning as far as the details. We knew before.
The recent WNBA player ranking of Caitlin Clark as merely the 9th best guard in the league, not even among the top players overall, but 9th just among guards, reveals a disturbing undercurrent in a league that transcends basketball ability and delves into ego, politics, and misplaced priorities. It's not just questionable, it's insulting to anyone who actually watches the game with a clear eye and understands talent, impact, and value. Caitlin Clark is not just a standout rookie, she's a generational talent. A player who has reshaped the WNBA's popularity almost overnight. Anyone with even a moderate basketball IQ would easily place her in the top 3 players in the league, full stop. Yet here we are, seeing her ranked behind players like Alicia Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, Natasha Cloud, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Kelsey Mitchell, and Brittany Sykes, many of whom are solid, experienced pros but do not come close to matching Clark's influence, statistical output, vision, or impact on both the game and the league's relevance. Many fans, even diehards, didn't know the names of half of these players until Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court and brought millions of new eyes with her. If we're being honest, very few of these players were in mainstream conversations prior to Clark's debut season. And yet the players, the ones who play against her, the ones who scheme specifically for her as if she were peak Michael Jordan or Steph Curry, somehow claim she's not even a top 5 guard. It's laughable, and it smacks of jealousy and resentment. There's a level of denial that has permeated the WNBA's player culture, a refusal to accept what's directly in front of them. Caitlin Clark is the reason for the massive spike in attendance. She's the reason WNBA merchandise is flying off shelves. She's the reason people like young men, kids, older fans, and basketball lovers of all backgrounds are suddenly tuning into a league that for decades struggled to find mainstream relevance. Record-breaking television viewership, packed arenas, social media engagement through the roof, all Caitlin Clark. Even when she sits out, she's the focal point of discussion, analysis, and attention. Yet somehow, many of her peers in the league view this surge not as an opportunity, but as a threat, because it didn't happen the way they wanted. They don't like that it's a young, white, straight woman from Iowa who's changed everything. And instead of welcoming the rising tide that lifts all boats, they seem bitter, as if she's stolen something from them rather than enhanced the entire platform. It's not just that they dislike how it's happening, they dislike who it's happening through. Clark has done nothing but show respect to her teammates, her opponents, and the league. She plays hard, she plays smart, and yes, she plays with fire, talking trash, competing like a dog, giving it everything on both ends. That's basketball. That's what elite competitors do. And yet she's vilified in a way that makes no rational sense. Often treated like an outsider or an invader in a league, she's doing everything to elevate. It's almost ironic. For years, WNBA players have fought and campaigned for better pay, better treatment, more coverage, and fair recognition. Rightfully so. But now that the attention is finally here, many players seem to want to reject it because it didn't arrive on their terms. There's this expectation that increased visibility should come through collective activism or a slow organic growth led by certain pre-approved voices. But that's not how business works. If you want higher salaries, you need more eyeballs. You need more ticket sales, more viewers, more sponsorships, better media deals. Caitlin Clark is the bridge to that. She's the engine behind the WNBA finally heading toward profitability and relevance. To reject her is to reject the very progress the league has been begging for. Yet what we're witnessing is resistance to growth unless it fits a narrow ideological mold. The league has become more about politics and identity than basketball, and that's part of the problem. There's a palpable hostility toward fans who don't fit the stereotypical WNBA base. White men, conservative-leaning fans, younger males. And yet, these are precisely the demographics that can dramatically expand the league's reach and financial health. The idea that certain types of fans shouldn't be welcome unless they share certain socio-political views is both short-sighted and destructive. This tribalism extends into how players treat Clark. She's not getting fair foul calls. She's being intentionally hit, verbally targeted, and mentally disrespected, all while being the most talented player on the court. The way some players defend her, hand-check her, or outright body check her is unlike anything we see for any other player. And yet they still pretend she's not elite? Let's look at the numbers. She's putting up stat lines that rival MVPs, all while facing the most intense defensive schemes in the league. She's leading the league in assists, or top 3. She's a top-tier three-point shooter. She rebounds from the guard position, and she brings a floor-spacing gravity that opens up her entire team's offense. Who else in the WNBA is being guarded 94 feet like Caitlin Clark? Who else is hitting logo threes and making 9 points in 38 seconds like she did recently, or scoring 25 and a half while being doubled the entire time? She's being boxed and won, triple teamed, run through off-ball screens, defended as if she were already a 5-time MVP. And she's still producing. And let's not pretend the players ranking her 9th didn't see these games. They know exactly what she's doing. They know how much prep their coaches dedicate to slowing her down. The only explanation for ranking her that low is not ignorance, it's spite. Take, for example, the report that DeWanna Bonner didn't want to play in Indiana because of the crowd size and spotlight that Clark brought. Really? Players have been begging for bigger crowds, for louder arenas, for packed venues, and now that it's here, it's a problem? That speaks volumes. The truth is, many players say they want the WNBA to thrive, but only if it thrives through their lens. Clark represents change, and change is uncomfortable, especially when it upends the existing hierarchy. She's not just the most talented player, she's also the most influential, and influence in a space dominated by political and social expectations is dangerous when it comes from someone who doesn't check every ideological box. Clark doesn't go out of her way to push culture war issues. She plays ball. She elevates the game. She's focused on hoops. That, in today's landscape, is oddly controversial, but it shouldn't be. She's doing what every pro athlete should do. Be great at your job, represent the game with class, and attract fans. And while her detractors may not like this, Caitlin Clark is the best marketing campaign the WNBA has ever had. Period. She's pulling in TV ratings that compete with men's sports. She's selling jerseys like no one else. She's drawing hundreds of thousands of fans to a league that previously existed in relative obscurity. And she's doing it without asking for a medal. She's doing it while getting hacked on the court, dismissed in the media, and snubbed in player polls. Yet she keeps playing. She keeps hooping. She keeps dropping dimes and draining threes from a logo. She doesn't pout. She doesn't complain. She stays locked in. This is the kind of player who should be universally celebrated. Instead, she's viewed with suspicion and subtle disdain by her own peers. That says less about her and more about the culture of the league that is supposedly trying to grow. If WNBA players truly cared about expanding the game, they'd embrace Caitlin Clark. They'd thank her. They'd celebrate her ability to do what no marketing firm ever could: make the WNBA cool, mainstream, and relevant. Ultimately, the rankings say more about the league than they do about Caitlin Clark. Her game speaks for itself. Her numbers are undeniable. Her impact is unmatchable. And the future of the WNBA, if it wants to actually become a profitable, global league, runs through players like her. Players who don't just play great, but elevate the game itself. What the league chooses to do with that opportunity will define its next decade. Will it embrace growth, even if it comes through unexpected avenues? Or will it continue to self-sabotage through ideological purity tests and petty infighting? Caitlin Clark is giving the WNBA everything it's ever asked for: attention, viewership, cultural relevance, excitement, money. And yet many within the league would rather stay small and right than grow and adapt. That's not just sad, it's unsustainable.
Games to play, and we just got to build off this, watch film, go back to the drawing board, make our adjustments, and gear up for Seattle.
What do you think was inconsistent about it?
And at times hostile to the very growth it claims to desire, with Caitlin Clark standing as the glaring example of this twisted contradiction. What was supposed to be a league centered around athletic excellence and competition has increasingly become a vessel for political posturing, tribal division, and internal resentment, to the point where someone like Clark, arguably the most transformative talent the league has ever seen, is met not with admiration but with disdain from her own peers. It's genuinely absurd that players in the WNBA ranked Caitlin Clark as the 9th best guard in the league. Not the 9th best player, just 9th among guards. That's not a matter of opinion. That's a blatant display of collective bitterness from athletes who are more interested in gatekeeping the league than elevating its potential. Kelsey Mitchell, Brittany Sykes, Alicia Gray, and Sabrina Ionescu, solid players, sure, but they're not in Caitlin Clark's tier when it comes to generating offense, commanding defensive attention, orchestrating a team, or drawing national interest to the league. Players like Skylar Diggins-Smith and Natasha Cloud were placed ahead of her, and many of them weren't even widely known outside niche circles before Clark arrived. And Paige Buchers? She hasn't even played a WNBA minute, and was still discussed like she's already better. That level of delusion shows this ranking was never about basketball. It was about identity, ego, and politics. It's wild that these are the same players who've long begged for more exposure, more investment, and bigger checks. Yet when the WNBA finally starts to get all that, thanks in large part to Caitlin Clark, they act like they want to throw it all away just because the attention didn't arrive the way they imagined. They didn't want it to be a straight white player from Iowa lighting the league on fire with logo threes, flashy passes, fearless competitive edge, and the kind of following that has doubled attendance and tripled merchandise sales. You can't grow a basketball league if the basketball product isn't great, and the honest truth is Caitlin Clark elevated the product to a level many of these players never reached, and that stings. The jealousy is apparent. The disrespect is deliberate. This isn't just online trolls or fans who don't know the game. This is the players themselves who face her on the court, game after game, who know exactly how good she is, who get torched by her dimes and deep threes, and still voted her 9th. It's insanity, and it's embarrassing. If the NBA had a player like this, a rookie who played like a seasoned star, drew millions of new fans, and routinely made jaw-dropping plays, other NBA players would praise him relentlessly. Look at how NBA stars talk about Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, or Steph Curry. There's reverence in the way they speak of each other's greatness. They celebrate when a game evolves and someone raises the ceiling. But in the WNBA, when Clark raises the bar, many players respond with hostility. They put her in a box and treat her like a threat rather than a teammate in growing the league. It's like they want the spotlight to stay dim unless it shines on the people they've approved in advance. Clark's mere presence has revealed how many people in the WNBA aren't truly invested in basketball excellence. They're invested in control, ideology, and comfort. The fact that they put more energy into hacking